On average, nearly 50% of PhD students and postdoctoral researchers worldwide experience depression or anxiety, according to multiple studies conducted in various countries. Many of them feel exhausted, overwhelmed, or isolated. Some even struggle under toxic supervision of a PI. A significant number even experience suicidal thoughts. In this video, we will explore why depression, anxiety, burnout, and suicidal thoughts occur among PhDs and postdocs, what is happening in the mind and body at a biological level, and how individuals can take steps to protect themselves and seek support. We will examine systemic pressure in academia and the role of toxic supervisors in worsening mental health, the neuroscience and psychology behind burnout and depression, and practical strategies to preserve well-being, especially for those working in academic research. So if you are a graduate student or postdoc, this information is for you. But let me introduce myself. I am Jitendra Pant. I have worked in both industry and academia across United States, India, and Europe. Since 2024, I have been the founder and CEO of NOBiotics, a biotech company based in USA, and I also provide scientific counseling on consulting for international researchers and scientists working in the United States for green scientists. In the past, I have served as a global director of R&D in the US and UK division of a bioinstrument company and as CEO of Latin America and North America of a biotech company in USA. I completed my master's degree at BITS Pilani, India, my PhD at University of Georgia, and my postdoctoral training at the University of Michigan and executive education at MIT Sloan. And through these roles, I have experienced both the highs and the very lows of academia, and this has prompted me to speak regularly on LinkedIn and now on YouTube about these issues that affect the mental health and well-being of scientists. But more importantly, I have personal reasons why this topic is so deeply connected to me, because I grew up in a household where my mother lived in depression for over 30 years. And I know that when depression lives in a home, it affects more than the individual. It changes the emotional climate of the entire family. If these people dealing with depression have kids, the children grow up sensing a heaviness they cannot name. The siblings adapt in silence, and parents carry invisible burdens. And the impact spreads quietly and persistently, touching every relationship, every celebration, every ordinary days that you will go through. Over the last 10 years, I have worked closely with PhDs and postdocs, researchers, and early career scientists, observing firsthand the pressure, challenges, and emotional struggle they face specifically in academia. Many have reached out to me through LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and email seeking guidance. While I cannot address every concern individually, the mission of this video and this channel is to help PhDs and postdocs grow in their careers, whether in academia or industry, survive toxic lab environments, and build a career exit strategy to transition into industry, start their own company, or continue successfully in academia. So let's look at the prevalence of the problem of the mental health issue. Depression and anxiety among the graduate researchers are widespread and very well documented. This is not about a few minutes. When we talk about depression, this is not about a few minutes or hours of stress that people casually label as depression. I'm referring to chronic anxiety that infiltrates daily life and refuses to leave, sometimes persisting for years or even decades. Clinically diagnosed depression can profoundly alter how one thinks, sleeps, not sleep, relate to others, and simply exist each day. Mental health issues among PhDs are not only real, they are deeply alarming, because according to 2018 study published in Nature Biotechnology by Evans et al., approximately 24% of PhD students met criteria for clinically significant depression and 17% met criteria for significant anxiety. In the US, research from the Healthy Mind Networks and National Graduate Mental Health Surveys indicate that 40% of graduate students meet criteria for moderate to severe depression or anxiety. In some institutional surveys, up to 16% have reported experiencing suicidal thoughts. In India, studies conducted at leading institutions like IITs and IIScs found that 80% of PhD students report experiencing anxiety or significant psychological distress, and close to 68% report depressive symptoms. Many have considered leaving the academic programs due to mental health concerns, and rightly so. In Europe, large scale surveys conducted in Spain and published in Psychiatric Research Journal in 2021 reported that nearly 50% of doctoral students experienced symptoms of depression, and more than half reported anxiety. In Australia, well-being studies across universities found that up to 70% of PhD candidates reported clinically significant depressive symptoms, and approximately 35% reported suicidal ideation. These rates are substantially higher than those observed in general population. And these statistics are not abstract numbers. When we are talking about these numbers, they represent real individuals, your peers, your colleagues, and perhaps even you navigating intense pressure and relentless expectations of academic research. And despite how shocking these numbers may be, they are in many ways predictable within the current academic system, specifically under the systemic pressure and toxic supervision by certain principal investigators or professors. The demands of academic life are enormous. You know this. Research and teaching responsibilities are constant. Funding and job security are uncertain. The culture often prioritizes productivity over well being of PhDs and postdocs. They prioritize publication over your well being. From recruitment through tenure, principal investigators or professors are often selected based on publication records and grant funding rather than leadership ability, mentoring skills, emotional maturity, or emotional intelligence. And because the system rewards academic brilliance more than leadership, many accomplished researchers or PI without strong leadership qualities end up supervising trainees like PhDs and postdocs, and toxic supervision has therefore become an increasingly visible and damaging factor. Toxic PIs can be dismissive, authoritarian, or manipulative, and their behavior can make daily work feel oppressive and overwhelming for PhDs and postdocs. Studies consistently show that toxic supervision is strongly associated with higher rates of anxiety, depression, burnout among PhDs and postdocs, as we just saw. Persistent criticism, unrealistic expectations, violation of personal boundaries are not minor issues. It is not uncommon to encounter a PI who chastises you for being 2 minutes late while ignoring the 4 or 5 hours of work past 5 p.m. or the weekends that you sacrifice. Some PIs humiliate trainees by calling them untalented or incompetent and repeatedly questioning their capabilities, implying they could be fired at any moment or threaten reference letters, all while failing to guide, review, support meaningful work. And this is not occasional, it happens consistently, gradually breaking confidence, instilling self doubt, and convincing you, the PhD and postdoc, that you are not good enough for academia or industry. And when your career advancement depends heavily on the approval of a single individual, that is your PI, that PI behavior holds disproportionate power, which contributes to rising depression and suicidal thoughts among PhDs and postdocs. Let's look at it from a neuroscience and psychological perspective. Prolonged stress triggers the release of cortisol. Over time, elevated cortisol impairs cognitive function and emotional regulation. So individuals who are under chronic stress can become trapped in cycle of anger, self-blame, resentment, and self-doubt. The amygdala, the brain's threat detection center, becomes overactive, amplifying anxiety and fear. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for focus, planning, and rational decision making, becomes less effective, creating confusion and frustration. Even thinking about the PI or hearing their voice may trigger anxiety. Dopamine pathways, which regulate motivation and reward, decline when accomplishments go unrecognized, leading to emotional exhaustion, reduced motivation, and a sense that success feels hollow. These responses are not sign of your weakness, they are natural neural adaptations to sustained pressure and perceived threat that your toxic lab culture is giving you. And there is maladaptive perfectionism and cognitive pattern formed during PhDs and postdoc training, because many PhD students and postdocs are high achievers with perfectionistic tendencies. While these traits can drive success, they also create vulnerability to maladaptive perfectionism, where minor setbacks feel catastrophic. Mistakes are internalized as personal failures, and perceived inadequacies amplify anxiety and depression. When combined with toxic supervision, isolation, and heavy workloads, this creates a self reinforcing cycle of mental distress. So, this is how you should seek support and seek practical guidance. Because while systemic reform is necessary to improve academic environment, there are steps individuals can take to safeguard their well-being today. Health and mental well-being are more important than any publication, grant, or accolades, and must be protected at any cost. So you have to remind yourself every day. Sharing experiences with a trusted individual, friend, family in documented form allows both for venting and evidence if you later decide to report the toxic behavior of PI. Acknowledge that depression, anxiety, and burnout are valid responses to difficult circumstances. They are not reflection of your personal failure. So do not blame yourself if you're working under a toxic PI. And plan an exit strategy, whether it involves transitioning into industry, joining another lab, or starting your own company. All are essential. You have to plan your exit strategy, because building multiple references by collaborating with committee members, professors in other labs, or external collaborators can ensure support even if a PI refuses to provide you guidance. But before exiting, it is crucial to protect your mental stability. Make sure that you establish boundaries and minimize unnecessary conflicts with a toxic PI, and as it is often too late to change their behavior. Maintain regular sleep, exercise, and social connection. Seek support from trusted peers, mentors outside the lab, and professional counselor who can provide perspective and emotional safety. And if you are persistently feeling depressed with no apparent way forward, you should seek professional therapy. Evidence-based approaches such as cognitive behavior therapy improve not only your resilience but also regulate your stress response. And therapy is a private act of self-care, so you do not have to deter it by stigma, but continuously document incidents if supervision crosses professional or ethical boundaries, and utilize institutional policies with allies to ensure protection if they exist in your country or in your institution. But before we go, this is my message to academic institutions. Protecting mental health requires more than simply providing a counselor. Confidential, evidence-based complaint system must exist that do not jeopardize a PhD's or postdoc's career, publications, or recommendation letters. Systems with two mandatory supervisors and independent committee chairs should be considered to protect over dependence on one PI. Because without systemic action, trust in academic research and science itself will erode eventually, as we are seeing that. And this is my message to the toxic PIs. Leadership entails ethical responsibility. While being a PI is stressful, it is morally and professionally wrong to project your frustration onto PhDs and postdocs. Your tenure does not excuse damaging others' mental health. Your emotional regulation is your responsibility, and it is a critical component of effective leadership. And this is my final message to PhDs and postdocs. If there is one message I want you to carry with you after this conversation, it is this: your worth is not defined by the opinion of your PI or someone else. It is not defined by how much you can endure in a broken academic system. It is not measured by how much you can suffer in silence. You are not valuable because you tolerate mistreatment. You are not strong because you absorb humiliation. And you are not certainly successful because you sacrifice your mental health just to survive. So protect your mental health above almost everything. This should be your number one priority, because when your mind begins to fracture under chronic stress, everything else, your work, your relationships, your physical health, your sense of meaning, begins to erode with it. Your life is not measured by output, it is measured by the meaning you create, the integrity you maintain, the relationship you nurture, and the contribution you make without destroying yourself in the process. Because science does not need more burnout, depressed, anxious researcher. It needs healthy, clear thinking, courageous human beings. If this message resonates with you, please share it with someone who may be suffering with depression quietly. There are far more of them than we acknowledge. Many are high performing, many are silent, many are smiling in public but struggling deeply in private. On this channel, I speak about well being, growth, career transition, and professional development for scientists. If you find value here, I encourage you to explore the other videos that I have posted and I'll continue to post on this channel. If you have questions, suggestions, or topics you want addressed, please write them in the comment. I will try to read them carefully and I will either respond directly or create another video to address what matters most to you. Let us do our part in the building scientific systems that are rigorous but also humane, that are competitive but not cruel, that are excellent but not psychologically destructive, because you as a scientist deserve a career in science that does not cost you your mental health. Please take care.